The annual SG75 Singapore Our Home competition is back. This time around, the committee would like your ideas on how to build a stronger and more unified Singapore. You can contribute them through essays, pictures, or motion media.
That's right. Now, joining us in the studio is Indranee Rajah, Minister in the Prime Minister's office. She's also MP for Tanjong Pagar GRC, which supports the competition. And we also have Grace Hu, a student volunteer and organising committee member. Welcome, ladies. First of all, to you, Minister. This competition generally focuses on the enterprising and creative spirit of our forefathers. Why do you think we should bring in our founding leaders and the past to help us envision a Singapore at 75?
Well, this competition was really started after Mr. Lee Kuan Yew passed away. And we wanted something that would remember and honour him. But if anybody knows Mr. Lee, you know he was all about Singapore and Singapore's future. And we thought that the best way that we could remember him was to inspire another generation and generations beyond to think about Singapore's future, come up with creative ideas. And it's a kind of like handing over of the torch, living the legacy, taking Singapore forward to the next step. So that's the driving impetus behind the competition.
Oh, Ms. Hu, it's your turn to join the conversation. Now, you have been involved in this since 2021, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So you are the living embodiment of what Minister was saying, handing this torch on to the next generation. How do you influence from the ground up?
Well, I think one of the most important aspects of being able to, influence or make a change is really to be passionate about the cause that you're working for. When you're passionate about something, then the people around you can really feel it too. So when I was in junior college, I was with the Youth Core Leaders program, and we had this project where our group, we want to empower underprivileged young people by imparting them with valuable skills, practical skills that they can use. And throughout this project, at the peak of it, my group spent about 20 hours talking to these people on the ground, understanding who they are, what they stand for, and how we can really help them. And besides that, the only other thing that I really do is school. So like when I talk to my friends around me, it's probably the only thing that I usually talk to them about. And then some of them grow curious, they wanted to help out. So throughout this journey, sometime, maybe about 15 of them joined me. So I'm very happy that, they come on board with me. And yeah, passion. And when you start rallying people, that's when the change happens.
Oh, very interesting. Just that spark, just through your passion. Minister, back to you. This competition happens to tie in with this whole Forward Singapore movement and discussions that we've been having. Tell us more.
Well, the theme for this year's competition is many faces, many races, one Singapore. And if you think about it, that actually corresponds to the Unite pillar of Forward SG. Forward SG has several pillars. So I think that the ideas which are thrown up in this competition will all be put on a microsite. And then hopefully, we'll certainly encourage the Forward SG Secretariat and others working Forward SG to have a look at it, just to get a flavour and a sense of how the young Singaporeans see this sense of unity, the sense of oneness.
Are these ideas hard to translate into actual action? How do you do, those that do make it, how do you, I suppose, execute on the ground?
Well, the competition entries are still coming in. The closing date is not over yet. So we'll have to assess and see. But the key thing about this competition is the process that they go through. They have to think it through, ask themselves, what does it mean to be one Singapore? Yeah. What does it mean to be unified? And then the end product can take many forms: a video, a poem, writing. But at the end of it, it's meant to spark that idea, to encourage others, and hopefully to embed what is really something that makes us very unique, that sense of multiracialism, multiculturalism, and diversity.
Minister has set up the next question very nicely for you, Ms. Hu, and that is, with this rallying of all the friends that have come and this passion, what are we going to get out of it? I guess I'm asking, when it comes to Singapore's vision, what are we hearing? Some of the perspectives, the aspirations that you and your friends are talking about, are going to be submitting.
I think it's very important to understand, for us to understand that, you know, despite everything that we have today, our security context is constantly evolving, and we have to realize that things like, you know, the Russian-Ukraine conflict is a very grim reminder that Singapore is also constantly facing threats of terrorism, espionage, cybercrime, on top of climate change and diseases. So, you know, I hope that in time to come, we can become like a more empathetic, classless, and race-blind society that is united by one Singapore spirit, regardless of race, language, or religion. And also, you know, when we work towards our 2050 goal of being net zero emission, that we can become more environmentally sustainable.
Okay, Ms. Hu, for every young person who is inspired by your passion, there will be at least one other that is not, and they'll be a lot harder to persuade. What do you do to get these young people to follow your passion?
I would say, you know, the aim of SG75 is our attempt to address this problem. We need young people to realize, to take ownership of Singapore's future, because the problems that we are going to face tomorrow will be tackled by the young people of today. So it's very important that, you know, they realize that Singapore is theirs and nobody else can do it in their place. Once they start to do this, and then I guess, you know, they will start becoming more active in nation building and becoming more active citizens as well.
Final question to the both of you, beginning with you, Minister. How will you know whether this is a success? You know, how will you tell that the ideas really reflect what you're trying to achieve in terms of unity, you know, and moving into a Singapore 75? What do you hope to see, basically, from this competition?
Well, based on previous competitions, and I hope that that will be very much the case for this one, when the participants take part, the feedback constantly is, you know, I never thought about this before. I feel inspired. I've learned something. I've grown. And I want to do something for Singapore going forward. I mean, that's the kind of spirit you want to encourage through this competition. And you hope that they will remember it. And as they go through life, they'll look back, reflect, and say, hey, you know, I can make a difference.
So that's a win,
yes,
right? The process, as you were talking about earlier. What about you, Ms. Hu?
For sure, we want to see more entries coming into our competition. Our competition hasn't ended. It closes on 21st July. Every single piece of entry shows, you know, every young person's vision for Singapore in the future. And that's something that we can really appreciate over here. I think, you know, a win for us is definitely when more young people step up. It's okay if they don't know where to start. You can always join our events, come to us, visit our website at sg75.sg, or you can also follow us on Instagram at our SG75. And, you know, we can always match you up with the right opportunities as long as you're passionate about it. Yeah.
Well, your passion certainly is catching. And I'm sure you'll get a lot more responses after tonight. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with us. We've had Indranee Rajah, Minister in the Prime Minister's office, and of course, Grace Hu. She is a student volunteer and member of the SG75 Singapore, our home competition committee.